I still remember the exact moment I stopped being their son. It was 3:07 a.m. when the phone screamed against my ribs like a trapped animal. I was half dreaming of smoke when Mom's voice clawed through the dark. "Marcus, it's Lila. She's dying. They need 24 grand right now or they'll pull the plug. You have it. Send it. No hello. No please. Just the same old blade wrapped in panic." I sat up so fast the room tilted. "Call Noah," I said. My voice sounded like someone else's, low, flat, final. "Noah doesn't answer for us anymore," she hissed. "Exactly." I hung up. I turned the phone face down and stared at the ceiling until the red numbers on the clock bled into sunrise. My name is Marcus Reyes. 33. Paramedic. The middle kid nobody posts about. I'm the one who shows up when your heart quits in a grocery aisle. I'm also the one my family calls when their hearts quit working on their own. I live in a shoebox studio above an auto shop. The walls sweat motor oil in summer and the trains rattle my bed at 4:12 a.m. like clockwork. I like it. The noise keeps me honest. That morning the precinct called at 7:03. "Mr. Reyes. We need you to come in. It's about your sister and your parents." The officer didn't say attempted fraud yet. He just let the silence do the work. I already knew. See, 2 months earlier I'd done something stupid. I let my little sister Lila crash with me after her latest boyfriend redecorated her face. She showed up with a duffel bag and a split lip, crying about how she was different this time. I gave her my bed. I slept on the floor. I also gave her my old debit card, the backup one, for emergencies only. I wrote the PIN on a yellow sticky and stuck it to the fridge like an idiot. I told myself family doesn't steal from family. I was wrong. The first clue was small, $80 missing from an ATM I never use. Then $300 at a casino an hour outside town. Then my credit score took a nosedive because someone opened 2 store cards in my name. I froze everything. Changed passwords. But the fire was already in the walls. I just didn't know Mom and Dad were holding the gasoline. At the station they sat me in a gray room that smelled like burnt coffee and broken promises. Detective Serrano slid a clear evidence bag across the table. Inside was my yellow sticky note, the one with the Wi-Fi password on one side, and on the back, in my mother's perfect Catholic school cursive, every account number I own. Next to it, a grainy still from hospital security cam, my father at 2:41 a.m., hood up, punching my PIN into an ATM like he was born to it. Serrano's voice was gentle, almost sorry. "Your sister's okay, by the way. Dehydrated, panic attack, oxycodone in her system. She's asking for you." I couldn't speak yet. He kept going. "Your parents told the ER you were the only one who could release funds for experimental treatment. There is no experimental treatment. There is no $24,000 bill. They just needed cash fast because the bookie was coming." I laughed then. One sharp bark that hurt my throat. All those years I ran into burning buildings for strangers, and my own blood torched mine while I was on shift. Serrano asked the question I'd been circling for weeks. "Do you want to press charges?" I saw every Christmas where I was the only one who brought presents I couldn't afford. Just this once, that became a lifestyle. Every time Mom bragged about Golden Boy Noah, the lawyer in Seattle who made something of himself, while looking at me like I was the family's unpaid intern. I picked up the pen. My hand didn't shake. Yes. That's when the door flew open. Mom in the same pink blazer she wore to my graduation, mascara perfect, rage blazing. "Marcus, tell them this is a mistake. Tell them you were confused. You love us." Dad loomed behind her, arms crossed, doing that disappointed headshake thing he perfected when I was 9. I looked at her, really looked, for maybe the first time in a decade. "You went through my apartment. You used my dying sister as bait. You stood at an ATM wearing my name like a mask." My voice cracked, but it didn't break. "That isn't love, Mom. That's arson." She reached for me. I stepped back. Dad muttered, "Ungrateful piece of," I cut him off. "Save it. I've heard it in every language you know. I signed the complaint. Both of them. Fraud. Identity theft. Exploitation of a vulnerable adult. The sergeant handcuffed them right there while Mom wailed that I was killing her. I walked out into sunlight that felt too clean for what just happened. 2 weeks later, Lila called from rehab. Voice small, shaking, sober. I didn't know they took pictures of your cards, Mark. I swear I only used the debit that one time for groceries. I believed her. Addiction lies, people lie, but that crack in her voice was truth. I'm not mad at you, Lil. Get better. I'll be here when you're ready. Noah, my big brother, the successful one, finally texted. One line, you're destroying the family. I replied with the police report number and blocked him. The fallout was biblical. Aunts I hadn't spoken to in years blew up my phone. Blood is thicker. Forgive and forget. Think of your mother's heart. I sent a group text that simply read, they tried to rob me blind while my sister was on a ventilator. Forgiveness is earned. See you in court. Then I turned my phone off for 3 days. I used the silence to do something I'd never done. I opened a savings account with only my name on it. I enrolled in the critical care paramedic program I'd been putting off since Dad said it was a waste of good money. I drove 4 hours north, put a deposit on a tiny cabin by a lake that smells like pine instead of exhaust, and for the first time the word mine didn't taste like guilt. Last week the DA called. Mom and Dad took a plea. Probation, restitution, mandatory counseling. They have to pay me back every cent, plus interest. The judge looked my mother in the eye and said, "Ma'am, your son didn't abandon you. You sold him for drug money." I wasn't there. I was on shift, pulling a kid out of a wrecked Civic. When I got off, I sat in my rig, still smelling of gasoline and puke, and I cried, not because it hurt anymore, but because it finally stopped. Here's what nobody tells you about cutting your family out like cancer. The wound scar's ugly, but you breathe deeper than you ever thought possible. So I'm asking you, whoever's watching this at 2 a.m. because your phone keeps buzzing with someone else's emergency, when they set the match to everything you've ever known to save yourself, is it betrayal, or is it the bravest thing you'll ever do? If it were you, would you have signed that paper? Or would you still be sending the money, praying this time they'd love you back? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And if you're stuck in your own burning house right now, the door's heavy, but it opens outward. Pull. I'll leave the light on.